J6 footage, and from someone who worked at Frontline. Raw footage too, and it raises a lot of questions for the government. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. Ever since Representative Kevin McCarthy of California, now Speaker of the House, announced his release of 41,000 hours of footage from the January 6 or J6 event, exclusively to Tucker Carlson and Fox News Channel, he has faced a firestorm of criticism. A lawyer for 10 other media outlets sent the Speaker a letter demanding that his clients see the footage too. Mike Lindell has also announced his intention to sue McCarthy over the footage. Laura Loomer has poured contempt on the release, calling it meaningless. But yesterday, a professional film editor published to Twitter a long thread of unofficial video from the J6 event. This footage raises several interesting questions about the conduct of the Capitol Police and the official narrative. Before I share, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. And be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of great merchandise there, especially this t-shirt that I have chosen for today, which quotes Aldous Huxley saying, "Facts do not cease to exist because they are ignored." And indeed, they do not. One more thing, if you like what you're about to hear, you can like this video. You can also click the bell icon to get a notice every time I come up with a new one. In fact, do you see the new icon, that heart shape with the US dollar sign in it? This is super thanks icon. If you really want to keep these videos coming, click that and leave me a tip. Any currency will do, so long as it's legal tender. And now, first a review. You probably don't think you need one, but some people actually might. On January 6, 2021, President Donald J. Trump called a rally on the White House lawn. He anticipated that the rally would overfill the area, so he arranged large repeating screens with speakers on the National Mall. An estimated 100,000 people attended that rally. Now, for perspective, a single infantry division usually has 10,800 enlisted. After making a short speech, Trump urged his followers to walk calmly and peaceably toward the Capitol. But the scene at the Capitol rapidly became anything but peaceful. About 200 people were involved in actual fighting, with Capitol Police forces using tear gas. One civilian, Ashley Babbitt, died from a Capitol Police gunshot. Apparently, 4 Capitol Police officers suffered heart attacks and died in the excitement. The Capitol has been a fenced-in fortress off and on ever since. I've left a link in the description to a special keyword link to every article on CNAV that is tagged specifically for J6 related material. Most of the articles you'll find there are mine, and they deal with one of 3 things. First, the political posturing by President Joe Biden and his administration is bad enough after an event of this kind. I believe the phrase is to jump the shark. Second, some people claiming to be event organizers friendly to Trump or both engaged in some provocative behavior the night before, yet are still at large. And above all, we see certain persons, most notably Ray Epps, getting a pass for behavior that objectively constituted incitement to riot. As long as he remains free on his own cognizance, with the FBI attaching no suspicion on him, his activities take on the appearance of provocatio at the specific instigation of the government. With that in mind, let us examine the latest thread released yesterday, beginning at 10:09 a.m. Eastern Time. This thread comes from a gentleman named Fischer. Who is he? He is not just any ordinary Twitter user. Fischer describes himself as a primary source documentarian. He has a profile to which I'll let the link in the description at the Internet Movie Database that lists 10 production credits and many camera work credits. The lesser known The Movie Database, themoviedb.com, credits him as a camera operator on the Frontline special American Insurrection. And I have a link in the description to that credit also. But apparently few knew that he had set himself the mission to collect footage that might not appear in a public broadcasting service special. I've made a definite policy change when I leave links in the description to threads. From now on, I'm going to lead with the anchor tweet and then the odd numbers, then the last tweet, whether that's even or odd. That way, you get access to every tweet in the thread. But the anchor tweet is very important. It occupies a powerful position in any thread. If you have that, you have access to everything right there. Every tweet has embedded video or still images. And here is the text, which again might run a little longer than you would think, because some of these tweets have the new show more link in them. So here goes. Big video thread. Since January 6, 2021, I, Ford Fischer, have made it a mission of mine to acquire and publish entire unpublished cameras worth of J6 footage to the public. Today, I have hours of new J6 footage to share with the world. Bobby Powell live streamed and filmed on January 5th and 6th on 4 different cameras. Of these cameras, one was lost in the fighting. With the other 3, he live streamed and recorded. I have obtained all of that, including live streams deleted by Facebook and unpublished footage. I want to be very clear. Bobby believed and still believes that the election was stolen. At January 6, he wore a Trump hat while covering it as media. And at the end of the day, he proposed to his fiancée. Regardless of whether you agree with his views or not, his footage is real. In footage that Bobby has published before but has never been seen at this resolution, Bobby can be seen telling rioters, "Do not go in there," after one pulls out a broken window. The man who pulled out the window bizarrely pushes away another man who was about to go through. Now this man pulling out the window is also wearing a mask. You can see that in the video segments. In an interview with me, Ford Fischer, Bobby explains this critical moment from the footage in the previous tweet. Bobby is a Marine vet, and regardless of whether the masked individual was a Trump supporter, Bobby says he had to intervene to guard the Bobby Powell had to intervene to guard the Capitol. Since January 6, Bobby has been on something of a crusade to prove that this man he confronted must have been an agent of some kind. I, Ford Fischer, don't agree. I have no idea who this person is. In obtaining this footage from Bobby, I was able to receive it at a higher resolution than it has ever been published before. Bobby and I both agree that it would serve history well to find out, so I hope this work may solve some unanswered questions. Let's start at the beginning. All of the footage will be on YouTube, uncut. I'm just using this thread to highlight. As Bobby arrives on January 5th, 2021, between the Capitol and the Supreme Court, that would be on 1st Avenue East, an argument was taking place. Many Trump supporters were already gathered. "We are gathered here as patriots," prayed a woman on January 5th between SCOTUS and the Capitol as crowds gathered. "We are ready to stand here peaceably against this lie, against this hoax. We are the Americans who are going to fight back," another yelled in response. In footage that Bobby had not published, he filmed as Alex Jones, the Alex Jones of InfoWars fame, spoke on January 5th in front of the Supreme Court. Stop the Steal organizers Ed Martin and Ali Alexander were in attendance. "God is on our side and incredible things are coming," Jones promises. At this point, Mr. Fischer gets into what he has gathered from the J6 event itself. Before I describe that, I want to shout out to a sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor is oursilverlines.com. Do you feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You are not alone. The fluctuating economy, employment issues, and unexpected changes in life have left many families struggling over the past few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are learning the secrets to creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins or take advantage of the business opportunities this company provides, either way, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit oursilverlines.com to learn how you can build a legacy for your future. And now, back to the thread. On the morning of January 6, Bobby meets former Saturday Night Live star Victoria Jackson near the Washington Monument. "I'm a Trumper," she says, "a patriot. I'm here to stand up for election integrity and freedom. I am not going to vote again if it's fixed, if it's fake." Bobby continued filming on the National Mall throughout most of Trump's January 6th speech, which, by the way, was the last speech of the day, and it was 20 minutes late. About an hour of the footage I'll soon be releasing looks like this. Now, this is a sea of red hats and various flags on the National Mall. Most of these flags are American flags. Now, it's moving on. Bobby live streamed it to Facebook, where it was deleted that same day. Bobby records several clips as he leaves the Trump speech right before it concludes and begins walking to the Capitol. I should note that Bobby's fiancée was with him on this journey, assisting him, so their dialogue is sometimes audible. "We see the truth and we're all out of bubble gum," it says on one man's sign on the way to the Capitol. That's a reference to a science fiction film, They Live. Now, maybe you remember that film from 1988, directed by James Cameron. In it, a man finds a pair of dark eye shades called Hoffman lenses that show that all the splashy posters and TV anchor desk backgrounds that you see around you are fake. And behind these projected facades are subliminal messages. They are all very simple commands: obey, conform, and so on. He looks at the cash he's holding and realizes he's just holding a stack of white paper rectangles bearing the legend, "This is your God." The Hoffman lenses also reveal that the ones controlling everything are skull-faced aliens disguised as a certain class of persons we used to call yuppies, for young, outwardly mobile professionals. Moving on. Get out of the way, we're taking our house back. As Bobby arrives at the eastern portico steps, Trump supporters have already breached the grounds, but have not yet made their way up the steps to the east entrance. Officers with rifles stand above the crowd. Bobby tells me in our interview that he filmed the fighting at the base of the east steps, but that his phone was lost. He later received a call from Capitol Police on the phone, he says, claiming that it was found inside the Capitol and baiting him to come meet with them to get it back. Bobby never went inside, so this doesn't make any sense. He told them to give it to his congressman, which they refused, and he never got his phone back. For the record, this means that in all likelihood, a phone with footage of unpublished J6 footage is still in possession of the United States Capitol Police. When Bobby makes it to the top of the east steps, crowds are forming. 1 minute into this clip, Hunter Emke can be seen breaking a window and getting arrested, but then released. Now, he was then arrested again a week later and got a 4-month sentence. Riot cops defend the window at first. For the next several minutes, Bobby gets a variety of shots at the east entrance, showing both the fighting at the door and some images of the crowd on the grounds who had not gone up the steps. It was then that the United States Capitol Police guarding the broken window departed, leaving it undefended. Bobby picks up some glass shards as a souvenir when a masked man pulls out the rest of it, and Bobby ends up defending the window himself. That's when he told that guy, don't go in there. After the scuffle over the window, Bobby goes to the east door, which has now been opened. He films the next several minutes of fighting, where you can see a secondary door on the way to the Senate chamber was also open. Now, that is significant. Normally, the only access to the chamber of the United States Senate is through the cloakroom, and the only access to that is by an elevator labeled Senators Only. Moving on. His eyes burn from mace to the end. Partially blinded, Bobby continues to film the fight for the east door into the Capitol until police manage to get it shut. After filming the violence that took place at the east entrance of the Capitol, Bobby handed his camera to someone to film him propose to his now fiancée, who had assisted him throughout the day. They got engaged at the Capitol on January 6th. They are still happily engaged. On getting engaged at the Capitol riot, Bobby tells me, I was extremely happy because he had captured footage of history. So he proposed, and she said yes, as you can see in previous tweet. They intend to get married when all this January 6th stuff is over with. The full archive of all of Bobby Powell's J6 footage is premiering here now, where it will stay on YouTube, assuming the platform doesn't take it down. And I have that link in the description. All is available to license and research from. More to come, including his whole January 5th archive. Bobby Powell is convinced that the masked man detailed earlier is an agent. A thread of his is below, which you can see for yourself. I put a link in the description. I am not convinced of anything. 2 images online show his face, but he hasn't been caught. Footage by Paul Mulholland also shows the same, still unidentified person as filmed from right behind his head, bottom right, end of thread. And link in the description to that other set of footage. The immediate reaction to this thread was generally positive. I have links to the 2 most instructive tweets. One user noticed something missing from this footage, namely flags of National Socialist Germany. Another user, replying to the last tweet in the thread, asked bluntly why Mr. Fischer professes not to be convinced of wrongdoing by the government. This user definitely raises the question of a double standard. I quote him, "We are unconstitutionally imprisoning Americans for trespassing, while Antifa and Black Lives Matter or Planned Parenthood commit arson, protest injustices, homes, and so on. All incontrovertible." And now my analysis. Mr. Fischer makes a monumental effort to preserve ideological neutrality. That could reflect healthy skepticism of hyperbole from the left or the right, or it could simply represent his effort to avoid cancellation by the executive producers and donors of and to Frontline and the Public Broadcasting Service. Or make that the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which technically gives PBS and NPR their basic direct support. After all, you've heard the standard PBS boilerplate acknowledgement of support at the beginning of virtually every television program they run. Many of you no doubt know it by heart. This program is made possible by grants from such a company, such a social maven, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and the generous financial support of viewers like you. Close quote. Having said all that, I maintain that the footage Fischer showed yesterday shows 2 things above all. First, Donald Trump supporters gathered in the sincerely belief that he actually had won the election of 2020. Now, whether anybody will ever establish whether that is true or not, that's what they believe. And I would actually urge such people not to sit out an election even in that belief. If you don't vote, you can't complain. And there may be other reasons why people really did vote in the numbers given. The Twitter Files has that. But second, the Capitol Police did some questionable things, like leaving key access points unguarded at critical moments. If the roughly 200 people who apparently fought their way to the eastern and western doors of the Capitol really did decide on the spur of the moment to force their way inside, why did Capitol Police officers leave doors or windows unguarded at critical moments? Furthermore, witnesses have told me personally that they saw people get off buses on First Avenue East, shout Antifa or some such, and have the Capitol Police pass them right in through the eastern portico doors. Now that's the eastern portico. Now at the western portico, that was a different story. Totally. The footage shown in this thread is one of several batches of footage that already cast doubt on the official narrative. This in turn raises the more serious question of why authorities have held large numbers of people without trial. Will Tucker Carlson manage to shed any further light on those events? Will Mike Lindell succeed in his legal action to win a much wider release of the footage? Stay tuned. Link in the description of the article to the keyword link for J6 articles at CNAV, to Ford Fischer's profile at the IMDb, to his credit as camera operator for that Frontline special at the movie database, to the thread, to the anchor tweet, to the November thread by Bobby Powell, to both the YouTube videos I mentioned, to reaction to the thread, to my Declaration of Truth Twitter account, and to Conservative News and Views. I've also left links to the awesome CNAV Store and to ourcivilized.com, as I also mentioned. You know already about how to like a video, turn on notifications, and leave a tip. On the end screen, I am going to leave a subscribe link to my channel and links to a January 6th playlist, freshly updated, and to both those videos from Ford Fischer's channel so that you can see what he's talking about. This is Terry A. Hurlbut delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.